Morning, folks. Bit slighter, more serious video that I'm making today because we had an incident last night involving Damien, aka Egghead, but today, for right now in my book, he is going to be known as Shithead because I'll get into that in a second. That prompted me to want to make this video. I don't even really know what I'm going to talk about or where it's going. I just kind of sat down. I don't have a script or anything, just getting my thoughts out there. So, story time for you. My friend Sarah and I went to a brewery last night, and I took Damien with because I wanted to just kind of like get him out there, meeting some people. If anybody, I mean, he's a handsome dog and he's very friendly. People come up and pet him. It's a great opportunity to spark conversation like, hey, this dog is looking for a home. You know, how that goes. We went to this brewery. He did fine. He's not necessarily a great brewery dog because he does not sit still whatsoever, but he was fine. We walked a block over to go get wings at this place. It was really nice outside, so we were sitting outside eating, and even this guy with his young Cocker Spaniel walks by a couple times, and he kind of pulls him over to say hi, and he did totally fine with him. He was very interested and just like wagging his tail, shaking his butt the whole time. Wasn't a problem. The problem happened when we got home at about like 9 o'clock, and I got him out of the truck, walk him over to the gate, and I think what basically happened, it's still hard for me to tell what is sparking these moments, if it is an initial burst of excitement that just quickly turns into something else. But basically, I think what was going on, we walked up to the gate, my boys are in the yard, which is where I keep them when I'm gone. I know that's probably controversial, but it works for me. I have a 6-foot privacy fence, it's not a problem. Anyway, I'm walking up to the gate with Damien, who's on a leash. Thankfully, I had a regular leash, not a flexi on him. And I think the anticipation of knowing the dogs are on the other side, they're like kind of whining back there, excited for us to come through the gate. And even though we've been through that gate 1,000 times, my dogs have been on the other side of it 1,000 times, it's never been a problem. For whatever reason, this moment, this perfect storm happened to where I opened the gate, not expecting anything because we've done this before. And what does he do? Just boom, goes right for poor Champy's face. Not that either of my dogs would deserve this unprovoked at all. Granted, Roman got a taste of it the other day. But like, Champ is my sweet angel who never does anything wrong. He's the most innocent creature you will ever meet. And he latched onto his face. Both of us were like, holy shit, we have to stop this. And he would not let go. The other day with Roman, I don't know if I got lucky, got right onto him before it escalated. I just grabbed his collar, pulled him apart, and that was the end of that. This, he had got a hold of his lip, his cheek. He would not let go. And luckily, it sucks that Sarah was there and had to see this, but at the same time, luckily she was there because I think it would have been a lot more chaotic if I was trying to deal with it myself. So she's trying to like hold Champ still so that we don't rip his face off. I'm trying to just string him up on the leash and choke him out, but he's got such a wide, flat collar that it's great for some things, but it was working against me because it wasn't cutting off his air supply. And he initially was kind of like thrashing his head, but then he just kind of sat still. And thankfully, thank God again, because that actually made things a lot easier, even though Champ's like screaming the whole time and it just broke my heart hearing that sound come out of him. So then I'm trying to like really quickly take the leash and loop it around, make this makeshift slip and just like cut off his air supply, which became really awkward and I didn't end up getting it, but he came off of it on his own. And then I freaking slammed him away from him. I was livid. And in reality, it probably only lasted like 10 or 15 seconds, but it felt like an eternity. Champ is fine. He does have a pretty decent gash on the inside of his lip. I'm not sure how only the inside got damage done to it, but I'm just very thankful that it wasn't worse than it could have been, because it could have been horrible. Could have had a chunk of his face missing today. And the freaking kind-hearted, resilient creature that he is, like 30 seconds after we broke this up, he was like, Sarah, will you throw my ball for me? And he was totally unfazed by it. So yeah, that was a very disheartening situation, and I was livid with him, and I'm still mad, and honestly, he doesn't want to come out of the kennel today, I think because he knows that I'm pissed at him. I got him out this morning to go to the bathroom, but like I had to put a leash on him and basically drag him outside because he was just trying to get back to the door like, no, I want in. So we have not reconciled yet. I don't want to at this point, just need time. But what this whole situation really kind of sparked for me is, and I don't know where I'm going with this again, but it's just like the discussion of genetics, which I know more and more people are preaching on the internet. And on one hand, I think people use it as a cop-out for like, this is a genetic tendency, so you can't fix it, when sometimes it's not a genetic thing, it's a learned thing and you can fix it. But anyway, that's a whole nother video, a whole nother category. I am by no means an expert on genetics in any breed of dog, especially bully breed. We're going to use that as just the umbrella term for all of these knuckleheads. It's something I would like to learn a lot more about. I just don't know where or who to go for that information, as far as I'm talking like analyzing, assessing a dog from puppyhood and just seeing what they are made of as intricate as possible. I think that would be a wealth of knowledge for me to be able to help more people. Anyway, there is a book that I am reading that's just called Pit Bull. It's basically like the origin story of the Pit Bull Terrier in America, and like kind of how it came to be what it is. But to give, and I'm not done with the book yet, but what I have learned from that, so the origins of that breed, not the American Pit Bull Terrier, but the Pit Bull Terrier was actually in England in the 1800s, like hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And those dogs were selectively bred to fight. Not only to fight, but to kill. It's disgusting. It's the most heartbreaking thing I've ever heard of, and unfortunately it does still happen in many parts of the world today. I think it's maybe not quite as prevalent as it was back then. It's not normal. And it's absolutely disgusting. I've broken up a few dog fights in my life that have not, I mean, they've lasted not very long at all, but it just, like, I don't know what is going on in the minds of people that are like, hell yeah, I want to pay money and watch this, because I'm not an emotional person, but it makes me sad when I see it and break it up, and it just like gets my heart racing, and I'm like, how in the world can you pay money? Like, you're a disgusting human being to support this. So anyway, but that is still originally what the breed was intended for. And if we looked at, say, the original core ones that kind of started all of this, that handful of dogs, they wanted, in their mind, the best of the best, but for the sake of the sport, like the worst of the worst, the ones that had the most tenacity, the most stamina, that were going to kill, because that is what they needed them for. It is like they weeded out the ones that didn't make the cut, and they basically killed them, or maybe they probably used them as bait dogs. They wanted the top 1% of dogs to carry on that lineage, and they bred from those dogs for a long time. So you've got like this core group of really intense dogs. That is what they selected, these ones that have the strongest tendency to do that, and that has carried into generations and generations later, 2025, where we're at. And now it probably seems like that much time that goes by, that original desire gets so diluted and becomes so trace that it basically just disappears in present day to where we're at now. And it's like, oh no, they don't do that anymore. They're not that intense anymore. And I would say, like, to a certain degree, that probably is true, because you don't see a whole lot of the stereotypical really intense pits, or just, we're going to use bully breed as the main umbrella term here, because, going on another tangent, the pit bull was like the original tree, that breed, and now there's a bunch of branches of other breeds that come from that obviously look and act a very different way. So like Frenchies come from there, American bulldogs, English bulldogs, bull terriers, even like Boston terriers and mastiffs come from the pit bull. It's just through different look and size and selective breeding, you've created all of these other breeds, but they originate from the pit bull. Anyway, back to the original point. So we might have a lot of that type of dog, bully breed, that never really displays that original intended purpose because of the very diluted genetics. But it doesn't mean that it's completely disappeared, that it's not in there. I don't think you see quite as many super intense, similar to the OG pit bulls, as you do, or today. You see a lot of the really friendly hippo type, like super social, lovable dogs, but it's not completely disappeared. And what's actually kind of scary to me is, it's like, say there's a 1% chance that original characteristic is in there that's going to come out. 99% of the time, you get the happy-go-lucky, lovable dog with people, with dogs, with whatever. But it's almost like similar to the situation last night, this like put in the perfect situation, quote unquote perfect, because it's not a good situation, but the right time, the right circumstance, the right something triggers that 1% to just, something strikes a nerve with it, and then it's like, boom, here's Mother Nature, the hundreds of years of genetics starting to take over, and then it becomes game on for that dog. And it's like, okay, I've never really felt this before, but now it's like the fight is on and the desire to kill is on. And that's scary to me because we've got a lot of these dogs in the hands of people who are still claiming like, oh, it's all in how you raise them, which is just so not the case. It's so not true. And we are doing the breed a disservice by lying to the public and preaching that statement, when if you were just willing to accept, hey, it sucks that this is what the breed was originally intended for, but like that is where it comes from, so just know that something might wake up that side of them, and then you've got a really dangerous situation on your hands. I'm not saying like pits and bully breeds, I don't want to make them out to be just complete monsters, but just being honest about what they are capable of, I guess, is like the main point that I want to get across here. Because it was a side of him, like the most intense side of him that I have seen. And I'm not saying I know everything about pits, but I know more than the average person who has about this much knowledge and is like, oh my God, he's so cute, and I'll bring him into the family, like he'll be totally fine. Because if you had seen a lot of, honestly, the videos that I posted of him where he's been around my dogs and he's been fine, and he's met a couple of strange dogs out in public and it's gone totally fine. If in the hands of somebody who just completely discredits where they come from, where they originate from, if he was at a shelter or a rescue, like they would say, oh, he's dog friendly, like he can be adopted out to somebody who has dogs and it's not gonna be a problem. But clearly that's not the case, because that was the most intense situation that I've seen of him. And then we had a brief moment with Roman the other day that also, it's just like something sparks in him and it becomes game on. So it's a message that I wish more rescues and shelters that have just any sort of bully breed, because in Oklahoma there's a lot of mutts out there, but there's like a certain percentage of bully that's in a lot of them because we have a lot of stray dogs, a lot of just farm dogs that are left to wander, a lot of irresponsible owners who just don't even care where their pets are, and then you end up with accidental litters and God knows where that goes from there. But a lot of these dogs end up in the shelters, and then the shelters are not honest about what owners are getting themselves into, and then the dog goes into a situation where ultimately it's going to fail because that 1% of the time, or maybe it's a higher percentage of the time, something sparks the DNA in that dog to come out, and then another dog gets hurt, another person gets hurt, that dog might get eliminated. Like, it's very disheartening coming from somebody who accepts the breed for what they are instead of lying to the general public and feeding a bunch of misinformation about what they're capable of. So I don't know if this video is helpful at all. It was not a great situation for me to be in. And like, on one hand, I don't want people to see dog fights like this happen because they are heartbreaking. They're hard to watch and can be really traumatic for people of a certain mindset. But on the other hand, it's like, I kind of want people to see this coming from a dog where it seems so unexpected and like out of the realm of possibility, because it helps them see, oh shit, you're right, that I didn't think that was capable, that dog had any possibility of this happening, but now I've seen it, and it starts to open their mind to the idea that genetics are just something you cannot outrun, you cannot outtrain. And if you are going to own any sort of bully breed, even if 99% of the time they're a great, wonderful, lovable dog, just know that's still buried down. Sometimes it's deep, deep, deep in the archives, but put in the perfect storm of a situation, it might come out. So just being aware of that to keep yourself protected, to keep other people protected, to keep other dogs protected, to keep that dog protected. It is best to just accept them for who they are and be responsible when it comes to owning them. And for the love of God, for owners to stop being very negligent and putting them in stupid situations where the dog is going to revert to their like caveman ways, their original ways. And this is what drives me nuts about when you see in the headlines like pit bull kills 2-year-old child. I mean, ultimately, yes, the dog did the damage, but it's the owner being so careless that they would put the dog and, more importantly, the child in that situation for something to go wrong. That, to me, is on the owners, because leaving a kid of any age, honestly, unsupervised with a dog like that is just stupid. Or putting it into a house of other dogs thinking it'll be fine, and then you come home to a bloodbath and one of your other dogs is dead or just like ripped apart and on the brink of death. It's people not accepting this is what the dog is meant to do. And the owners, the people fail the dogs. The dogs aren't failing themselves, it's the people. Because they can be pretty unpredictable, apparently. And you have to have a solid amount of control over them. And not just like physical restraint and all that, but you need authority and verbal control over the dog if you are going to have a chance of living with them successfully. So obviously training is imperative for that. This also, coming full circle with the whole play thing, is where play helps these breeds. more than anything out there, because you can satiate that original 1800s desire to fight and kill in an activity where it is allowed to happen. They can go super hard if they want to. They can bite the shit out of something, where they are allowed to get it out of their system, essentially. And you teach the idea of rules and consequences and boundaries and control and authority and respect and cooperation and all of that to be able to live with this dog in harmony, instead of sweeping the idea under the rug and be like, nah, he won't do that. It'll be fine. I'll just pretend it doesn't exist, because you're doing yourself a disservice and you're doing these dogs a disservice. So again, I don't know if this video is helpful at all, but I had to get my thoughts out there because it was just a very shitty situation, but I'm definitely going to take what I learned from it and use it in the future.